Buenas a todos, chavales. Como cada viernes que lo haya, estamos haciendo aquí el Star Citizen Live. En esta ocasión, el Star Citizen Live nos va a hablar de la UI, es decir, la UI es todo lo que tiene que ver con la interfaz gráfica, ¿no? Como percibimos, pues el Moviglas, lo que se ve en las naves, los displays que aparecen en las armas, ¿no? La munición que le queda, todo eso. Bueno, y la charla de hoy va de eso, ¿no? Así que, dentro vídeo.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to Star Citizen Live, all about UI. I'm your host, Jared Huckabee, and joining us on the show this week, UI people. People from UI.
No, dice que
UI. Oh man, I had a joke about UI and I just lost it. Bad start.
bueno, está diciendo que bueno que va a presentar a la gente de la UI, que es la gente que está ahí pues, detrás, ¿no? Y dice que quería hacer una broma, pero que le salió mal y mal comienzo.
Bad start. Simon Zane, welcome to the show.
Hey Jared,
Hello.
how are you?
Good, good. Now we haven't had a UI feature on for some time, so let's take a few moments at the beginning of the show, introduce ourselves, tell us who you are and what you do for Star Citizen. We'll start with Zane. Zane, who are you and what do you do for Star Citizen?
So I'm the principal UI core tech developer here at CIG. What I work on is the core tech for UI, so the kind of the fundamental system that drives the display of user interfaces in the game. Previously, I was the UI director, so I wanted to kind of get more neck deep into the code and the engineering. And to advance the tech much faster to kind of drive our development. So that's been working out really good. Simon here is.
Vale, nos está contando el fulano que básicamente el tipo antes era director del UI, pero que volvió a meterse las manos en la masa, es decir, delegó el cargo, abdicó el cargo, mejor dicho, ¿no? Abdicó el cargo, por así decirlo. Y se volvió a meter ahí en primera línea, pues por lo visto parece que el tipo controla sobre el core, ¿no? El núcleo de lo que viene siendo la tecnología UI que están desarrollando. Y que uno de los motivos por los que lo hizo es pues para estar más ahí en el salseo y también para poder conducir y meter más velocidad al proyecto.
You can introduce yourself.
Sure. Yeah. So I'm the UI director now, but that means mostly I spend my time organizing things, generally making sure the UI on our various teams is kind of heading the same direction, and making sure it's done on time, that sort of stuff. When I get time, which is not a lot, I do a bit of UI design. So I've been looking into the FPS HUD, the visor, which we can talk about later. So that's kind of fun.
Dice que ahora el Simon pues que es el actual director de UI y que bueno que tiene que organizar un montón de cosas, que es a lo que se dedica, y también a tratar de coordinar las diferentes personas que están trabajando en la UI para que vayan en la misma dirección. Y cuando tiene tiempo libre que también se dedica a desarrollar UI para lo que viene siendo pues el FPS.
It's hard when you reach a director's level. It's a lot of times it's more big picture stuff, more oversight stuff. I was actually excited when I heard Zane that you were jumping back into the fray and really getting your hands dirty with the UI stuff again. UI is I'm often quoted as saying UI is a department that affects every single aspect of Star Citizen. Like, I don't think there's an aspect of Star Citizen that doesn't require some assistance or implementation from UI. So it's a super important department, super important discipline. for game design, and I'm really excited that you're here and that you're both here and we can answer some questions, we can talk about this. So thank you for taking the time out of your week. I know this is it's a Friday at the end of your week, so thank you for being here, and let's just get right into the questions here.
Vale, está comentando de que claro, que al estar desde director, pues que tienes una vista global de todo el tema, ¿no? Pero que el estar metido en el proyecto, pues que, bueno, pues que le parece curioso, ¿no? El detalle que haya querido bajar y volver a ensuciarse las manos. Pero que también está diciendo que el tema de la Wii que afecta a todas las partes del juego, ¿no? Que es algo súper importante y que pocas cosas hay del juego que no dependan en algún momento de alguna asistencia o algo que tenga que ver con la Wii, ¿no? Que es bastante importante para el proyecto.
We take questions from a number of sources on Star Citizen Live, in case this is your first show. You can submit your questions in either the Twitch
Está
chat
comentando
or
lo
the
de-
Spectrum chat by posting your question with the word question.
Está comentando lo de siempre, que podéis hacer las preguntas con question, enviarlas al Spectrum y tal, y las más votadas salen escogidas para preguntarlas en los directos, ¿no?
Couldn't be here with us live, or folks who just wanted to vote up which questions they wanted to see answered most. So so as always, we're going to start with the what we call the pregame questions, the ones that came in throughout the week on Spectrum that were voted up. Right off the bat, what can you tell us about plans to let users customize their various HUD elements? We have been
Vale, ¿qué nos podéis comentar acerca de la personalización de los diferentes elementos del HUD?
hearing this for a long time here. Things like prioritizing features, resizing elements, or changing the color, stuff like that.
Claro, cambiar el tamaño, los colores, ¿qué se puede hacer?
So I guess I
Gracias por
can
el
start
follow.
this one.
Throw you in the deep end right off the bat.
So it's an interesting question, really. I suppose the thing that we would ask first is why do people want to customize things? I get the impression in some cases it's just because the current UI which needs a little bit of updating, is not quite working for people. So I think the first step for us.
Bueno, una de las cosas que está diciendo es que puedo entender por qué la gente quiere personalizar el tema de la Wii, es porque no están obteniendo los resultados deseados y bueno, pues quizás por eso hay esa tendencia a querer personalizar, ¿no?
Would be to find out those issues that people don't want, well, the way it's set up that people don't like at the moment, and that's the first thing for us to address. So relating to that, we're doing a lot of rework on the HUD and the MFDs and the FPS visor at the moment. So a lot of those kind of questions, it's great to bring up the reasoning now, and then we can start to incorporate that into these things as we move forwards.
Yeah, I know.
Está comentando un poco de que, bueno, diciendo de que claro, de que habrá, tendrán que mirar qué cosas quieren incorporar los jugadores realmente, ¿no? Porque, o qué problemas hay, o qué cosas disgustan a los jugadores para tratar de mejorar lo que es la Wii en general. Y bueno, que una de las cosas que puede ser interesante pues es las preguntas que van a hacer ahora para tratar de traer esas cosas sobre la mesa, ¿no? De todas formas, yo pienso que, o sea, por mucho que tú quieras, no sé, por mucho que tú quieras hacer una Wii, siempre la gente va a preferir que se pueda personalizar. Al final hay cantidad de opciones en el juego, ¿no? Minería, exploración, combate. Siempre vas a querer tener las cosas amoldadas a tu gusto, ¿no? Ejemplos de, yo que sé, juegos como en el WoW y tal, que está todo lleno de add-ons. Cada uno tiene las cosas a su manera, ¿no?
A lot of discussion about this for a while has been either addressing issues like the glare, that they want to change the color or something because whatever they're flying against matches the color and it's going to be difficult to read. Sometimes people just like different colors, like people just prefer a different orientation, or sometimes it's an actual visual acuity thing. Like some people just have difficulty seeing certain colors on the spectrum, and if you happen to be if you happen to have that weakness right there where the UI is, it can be difficult to read. So I know folks have been asking for the ability to adjust certain elements of the UI for some time. So
Yeah, sure.
Claro, está comentando algo parecido a lo que estaba comentando yo, Jared, ¿no? Dice que, claro, que independientemente de lo que es el tema de que no se vea por el brillo del sol o que quieras colocar las cosas de determinada manera, que es algo que los usuarios han estado pidiendo, puede ser que simplemente la gente quiera cambiar los colores o algunas preferencias, ¿no? Que tengan distintas y ya está.
But I know that's something we're definitely considering, something we've talked about for a while. And, but like you said, it's really important to get the building blocks and to make it as functional as possible before we start introducing customizable elements, if we ever do.
Well,
Yeah.
I mean, the thing with building blocks, and so basically building blocks is is like our internal term for the UI tech. So the tool that we use to develop UIs, the new one, not the old one. So like a lot of it is allowing for like flexible layouts or being able to easily reflow elements so they can rearrange themselves very easily relative to each other. And it opens up so much more because we can make the UI so much more dynamic.
Vale, está hablando de, bueno, está comentando de que Jared, ¿no? Del tema de que primero tienen que estar bien hechos los bloques de la UI para luego pues poder... buenas, Matilows. Para poder llegar al tema de las personalizaciones si es que algún día la llegan a meter, ¿no? Entonces, luego está explicando el desarrollador que el tema de bloques precisamente es como se refieren ellos a la forma de trabajar que tienen ahora en la nueva tecnología y de que esa forma pues permite sacar más cosas e incluso que a medida que van apareciendo cosas como que se vayan adaptando, ¿no? Que es más fácil que se adapten a pues eso, que para compartir el espacio o lo que sea, ¿no?
Responsive and flexible, whereas before it's just kind of, you know...
Claro, está hablando del tema del responsive o el flexible. El tema del responsive es, para que os hagáis una idea, por ejemplo, cuando veis una página web en un móvil, ¿no? Y pues lo volteáis o pues lo ponéis en vertical y tal, la forma en la que se adapta un poco la web a otros dispositivos, eso es el responsive. Buenas, Rojo.
You know, if we were to think about like maybe layout customization, or you know, if we had like a grid system, something you can kind of plug into and rearrange on, then it makes it so much easier than before, because everything before was just hardwired. It was very static in nature. But you know, if we have a fully data-driven and flexible system, you know, it kind of opens that up. Now that we can start asking like what makes sense for customization. Like previously, it was just like, yeah, we could do colors, but like it'd be very complicated to do, you know, like resizing and things like that. When you have a very statically authored UI, so implementation-wise, it's like much easier now. So it's just basically like, what are the kind of the fundamental issues? Like, you know, we mentioned things about like, you know, the bright, like, you know, how readable things are against, you know, bright backgrounds, and, you know, you want to change colors. But, you know, we'll kind of allude to this later on, I think, but, you know, there might be a better solution for that. That's right. You know, goes beyond UI.
Están comentando un poco de que como que han cambiado un poco la forma en la que hacían la UI desde antes, ¿no? Que ahora lo que hace es como estar dentro del juego, ¿no? Aprovechar los datos del juego. Y antes como que hacían una... ¿Cómo decirlo? Pues como que hacían una máscara, ¿no? Por encima. Entonces era súper estático y a la hora de adaptarse pues a las diferentes situaciones tenían bastantes problemas, ¿no? No tiene una... O sea, que parece que es como... Y a la hora de implementar está hablando que ya como que lo hacen como más in-game, ¿no? Entonces que ya no es lo de antes, que era pues como que trabajar independiente, ¿no? Eso le generaba bastantes problemas y cosas como por ejemplo el tema del brillo y demás en la pantalla, de que no se deja ver, pues parece que puede haber otras alternativas con este sistema. Más que simplemente ponerle pues un fondo o algo así, ¿no? Vamos a ver qué nos comenta.
Hit on a point that Simon made that I think is worth reiterating right now. It's while we're in development, you know, like, as we are, we want to focus our work on making the best default standard UI possible. And that can only be done if everybody's using the same thing, so that we can see all the feedback, so that we can see all the, you know how it's working. If you were to introduce customization too early in the process, then it skewers the feedback, because we don't know what this person is using versus what this person is using versus what this person is using. So it's...
Está comentando Discolando que uno de los motivos por los que no hay personalización de momento es porque es demasiado pronto y que de esa manera pues a la hora de recibir feedback no pueden recibir el feedback correcto porque no sabrían qué tipo de personalización está usando la persona. Entonces es más útil que todo el mundo tenga la misma y hacer una UI estándar, ¿no? Y a partir de esa UI estándar, de esa UI base, pues ir pudiendo desarrollar y obtener ese feedback, ¿no? Que necesitan.
While you're developing, it's really important everybody has the same thing so that we can get proper feedback and we can iterate the way that you need to make the best default standard UI we can.
Yep, that's very well put.
Thank you.
Definitely. Yeah. But if anyone does have suggestions like we really need to have this thing color changeable because of whatever reasons, then do let us know, and we'll read the comments and we'll take that into account when we get to it.
I mean, assuming we'll have like easily selectable color blind options as well that will, just change the color.
It's hard.
Things like
we can't do all the things all at once, unfortunately.
that's true.
Está comentando de que sí, que definitivamente que tienen mezcla de colores para poder ir poniendo y que bueno, que de momento pues que no pueden hacerlo toda la vez, así que primero tenemos que hacer lo que es este proceso y ir tirando.
All right, so next question says, currently UI elements like icons of station turrets or mission points can be very invasive, sometimes filling the screen. I've seen this.
Por cierto, comentaba, que se me había olvidado, comentaba el Simon que ven el feedback, leen los comentarios, leen las cosas que pone la gente a través de Spectrum o donde sea y que lo tienen en cuenta para desarrollar.
I've come out of Quantum Jump and just my entire screen is littered with every single turret and everything that's around. What can be done to make this more user-friendly or diegetic?
So, do you want to take this one or shall I?
You can start.
So, this is one thing that I'm really interested in looking at. I'm not sure how soon we're going to get to it, but what we would like to have is some kind of intelligent system. So there's obviously loads of stuff that we could show all over the screen potentially. So points of interest, mission objective markers, ships, and so on. What we need to have is kind of an intelligent system that works on how far away things are, and also a priority that the designers set, and then somehow works out which of those things to show and how many of them to show. So it kind of picks and chooses from this massive selection and shows you the most important things from those. So that would be the starting point to addressing this.
Están hablando, le han hecho la pregunta de qué coño pasa cuando sales de Quantum, ¿no? Y de repente pues ves toda la pantalla llena de información y que es como abrumador. Entonces, como si han pensado en maneras de hacer esto más digerible, ¿no? Que sea más amigo del usuario, ¿no? Que no esté todo lleno de torretas y de historias y tal. Entonces dice el Simon, ¿no? que están tratando de desarrollar una especie de inteligencia artificial que les permita que esta inteligencia artificial como que priorice la información que ve el usuario, en definitiva, según lo que puede interesar en ese momento, ¿no?
I think.
Okay. Next question. This is kind of a big picture one here. As the universe becomes more complex, more and different kinds of entities are vying for space on the HUD. Notifications, POIs, QT destinations, ships, mission markers. How do you manage all this visual information, and can anything be done to give players... the second part was, can we give players the ability to customize themselves? So what can be done to manage all this information? We already answered the last part.
Yeah, so...
Dice que a medida que, bueno, es parecido a la anterior pregunta un poco, ¿no? Y dice que a medida que van apareciendo, se va haciendo un universo más grande, como que hay más información en pantalla, ¿no? Y ¿qué podemos hacer para manejar toda esta información, ¿no? Que tienen planeado, ¿no?
Going off of, kind of riffing off the stuff that I talked about, the UI tech before, when we have easily flexible layouts and things like that, we can start thinking about making things much more smart about when they display and contextual about when they display. So, for instance, you have this big no target, it's the example that I think Chris gave previously, but you have like this no target big box that's on the screen all the time.
Right.
But if you don't have a target, why not just not have that? And when we apply that to maybe like the MFDs or the HUD, it's like things that you don't need can disappear out of view and reappear when they're needed. So things can...
Está hablando un poco a la hora de algo parecido a lo que es cuando targeteamos una nave, ¿no? Que tenemos en realidad un cubo, ¿no? Una de estas cajas que dicen que utilizan para desarrollar, por así decirlo. Es lo que le dice, que está diciendo que da más flexibilidad y que se permitiría en el futuro pues hacer hacer selecciones inteligentes de lo que se muestra en pantalla y no. En el caso de la pantalla que vemos de tarjeteo, ¿no? Estaría pues en aquí, ¿no? En esta parte, y aquí estaría lo que es el estado de la nave, ¿no? Pues en este lado de aquí lo que hace es que cuando tienes algo targeteado aparece una nave, y cuando no tienes nada targeteado desaparece, ¿no? Entonces, que eso se podría aplicar ese tipo de sistema se podría aplicar para más cosas, ¿no? Por ejemplo, mirar para una pantalla MFD y que solo muestre información cuando interese que la muestre, ¿no?
Can be much smarter about when they appear. Things can be a lot more contextual.
Claro, puede ser algo más contextual.
So.
Yeah. I think one thing relating to this is, I think as the game's been built up over the years, there's been a lot of things kind of added on top, kind of little features added here and there. So now we want to take this step back and look at all the stuff that we want to show, and we're going to try and look at the best ways to arrange those on the screen as well. So maybe we, for example, keep the chat in the bottom left, have the objectives in the top right, that kind of thing. So try and work out a layout for the screen that works and where things don't overlap and don't clutter each other. So that's definitely something we're looking into.
Yeah, the chat is like the most obvious example because you have this constant overlap with the ship MFD, and that's actually because it's on two different contexts and they don't know about each other's sizes.
Está hablando de que claro, que a medida que va avanzando el juego, como que se va sobreescribiendo contenido en algunos casos, y uno de los ejemplos claros es el tema del texto, ¿no? Que el texto que cuando escribe la gente, pues que eso está por encima de o sea, se superpone con el estado de la nave. Y dice bueno, comenta el compañero que eso es uno de los ejemplos más obvios de esto, ¿no? Y eso pasa porque realmente uno no tiene relación con el otro y no tienen forma de interactuar, ¿no? Entonces estaban hablando un poco de eso, de que de alguna manera pudiesen interactuar ese tipo de información que sale de la UI, ¿no?
So it's,
para buscar su espacio y no estorbarse y demás.
When we actually revamp the whole thing and we rethink, like we're creating, like we're looking at the MFDs right now, and we're creating like this whole new system that's just like much more systemic, and there's a grid system where everything kind of fits into each other, and you can create different sizes of widgets. So like the chat should you can have that like reflow with something depending on maybe how much you've customized your visor, rather than just being statically placed all the time. So it ties, all of this ties into the kind of the functionality and the capability you would have in the new system.
Que nos está diciendo de que una vez que han como rediseñado el asunto, ¿no? de todo el tema de la SUI, pues que ya cosas como con el chat que lo pueden pues personalizar más o moverlo, colocarlo mejor básicamente, y toda la información que te muestran los MFDs, pues jugar con tamaños y demás, y pues tener la información más organizada.
Yeah. And yeah, something we're definitely aware of the overlaps and all that kind of thing, and we definitely want to fix it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a heck of a challenge, and we'll get into it later a bit, but having the diegetic displays on the MFDs and then having the helmet displays, and when you get into a ship, you having both, and building a system that can switch things out and realize, okay, when you've got this on the MFDs, you don't need it on the helmet, and vice versa and stuff. It's an interesting challenge ahead of you guys. And,
I mean, there's a lot of ships where like you have the helmet UI present, even though you've got like a sea of screens. So once we can make that enable the ability, that functionality to actually cast things to your visor, then things should even automatically just become much cleaner.
Claro, está hablando un poco del tema de que tienen como un reto por delante interesante, el hecho de que cuando te montes en una nave, pues hacer de tal manera de que lo que ves se adapte a la nave en la que estás, ¿no? Y que todo lo que ves en la UI del casco, pues que no se muestre de esa manera. De hecho, que estaba comentando de que ahora pasa que te montas con tu... Hay ciertas naves que te montas y que hay como un mar de pantallas, ¿no? Por ejemplo, la Cutlass o yo qué sé, o la Caterpillar, ¿no? Y que ves la información repetida de lo que hay en el casco y lo que hay en las pantallas. Eso como que no tiene sentido, como que eso hay que trabajar y están solucionando eso, ¿no?
Because we want that anyway. We want the ability to do that, to pull, to take things and tear specific parts of the UI out and put it on your visor because maybe it's more useful and you want that more kind of immediately in your view. But it's building up that functionality. It's getting kind of the systemic stuff and kind of the foundation defined first for the MFDs, how things display, when should they display, what goes where, and then building that into the overall design. So that's something like we're spending a lot of time now working on as the tech is being developed alongside that in parallel.
Yeah, one of the
Ya están hablando de la forma de ordenar, que aparte de estar diseñando la tecnología necesaria para lo que quieren hacer en paralelo, están pensando de cómo hacer, por ejemplo, que la pantalla, que tú puedas pedir una pantalla y puedas sacar esa información del FMD, o sea, del MFD, para que te salga en el casco, ¿no? Y poder hacer ese tipo de cosas. Y que bueno, que primero como que tienen que ordenar lo que es lo básico y que lo van haciendo, pues eso, que lo van haciendo a medida que están desarrollando la tecnología, lo que dijeron antes.
things we're doing, because I guess the people at home don't really see it very much, but we're kind of building the tools to help us as developers make really good UI. And then once that's done, then we start putting the good UI in the game so everyone else can see it and use it and give us feedback and that kind
Dice que una de las cosas que no vemos desde casa, que es lo que realmente pasa en Star Citizen en general, es que están como desarrollando las herramientas que luego le permitirá a los desarrolladores poner la UI que quieren poner, ¿no? en el juego. O sea que hasta que esté terminada pues no vamos a ver nada de esa nueva UI.
of thing.
Well, we're going to work on the people at home seeing that stuff this next quarter of ISC. We're going to get Zane on, maybe something else, and get a couple more UI segments in there so people can better see and understand the work that your team has been doing. From the live chat, I got a question for you. Message spam that we're receiving, the message spam that keeps popping up on the UI. Is that a bug or a design feature?
Well, I think it's kind of
Claro, el tema del spam, ¿vale? De cuando... O sea, me refiero, cuando tú llegas al juego, entras al juego y empiezan a spawnear, o sea, empiezan a spamear cantidad de contenido, información, sale misión, sale contrato, sale no sé qué tal, que hay como un abuso de cosas, ¿no? Entonces, que le está preguntando si es parte del diseño o es simplemente un bug, ¿no? A ver qué coño contesta.
a legacy thing from having so many features being added to the game. They're all kind of competing for attention. And the way the current UI is, it's not really, well,
Hasn't scaled
we
well.
could set it up better, basically. Yeah. So this is one of the things we're planning on investigating the visor display generally. And part of that investigation will be, what do we do to this messaging system to make it work for people? So we can do things like, for example, we can give the messages priority. So if something...
Está hablando del tema de los mensajes, ¿no? De que están rehaciendo, se refiere al hacer así, imagino que se refiere a lo que vemos en el casco. Pues que están rehaciendo el tema y una de las cosas que tienen en mente es cómo pueden hacer para que los mensajes que salen sean más útiles para el jugador, ¿no? Hacer como una especie de sistema de prioridad de esos mensajes.
Something really important comes up, that kind of overrides the other stuff that's there. We could give things timers so they stay on for a set time, and potentially just not show more than a certain number of messages in the same amount of time. So there's plenty of little tools we can apply to that to make it work better.
Yeah, I think it's mainly just that we had that notification widget in the center there, and as more features got added on over time, especially the mission stuff, all the new mission stuff that kind of came in, it kind of latched onto that, and now it's spamming like 100 missions. So I mean, before it's just it had a few notifications, but we need to kind of take that into account and have a system that's much smarter about what notifications should display there. Versus,
Yo no entiendo, mira, están hablando de que ahora como hay muchas misiones y tal, que no deja de haber notificaciones y tal. Yo no sé por qué se comen tanto el coco, o sea, realmente es tan sencillo como no mostrar las malditas notificaciones como hacen el resto de juegos. En el resto de juegos simplemente ves que pues puedes poner un contador de misiones disponibles, puedes poner pues una admiración en lo que es el apartado de misiones, o que ya lo hay, ¿no? Que se ve como que hay misiones nuevas, pero el spamear así contenido en el casco no tiene directamente sentido, o sea, no hay vuelta de hoja, se tienen que quitarlo y punto, ¿no?
You know, maybe the missions probably would be better served by, just like a pulsing icon with a number on it.
Mira, un icono con el número, ahí efectivamente. Aleluya.
Things like when you get like a new email and your inbox says like 1 or there's 2 or there's 3. Like,
claro, que hagan lo mismo que el email, ¿no? Que tienes ahí pues mensajes, pero no.
Rather than just like boom, this new mission is now available, and it's like taking up 10% of your screen.
Yeah.
So something that's much smarter, more elegant.
Yeah,
like
definitely.
that.
Another thing we're considering is kind of splitting it out a little bit. So you've got your kind of messages in one place, and then it's quite likely we'd have a sort of mission objective area that shows you your current mission related stuff, and we might as well have a separate thing for the kind of keyboard keyboard shortcuts and that sort of thing. There's little hints that pop up. So kind of move those things to different parts of the screen so they're not kind of always competing for the same space.
Claro, dice también como tratar de dividir las diferentes misiones que aparecen, ¿no? Y poner diferentes atajos en el teclado. O sea, las diferentes informaciones que aparecen y como que separar, ¿no? Pues por un lado las misiones, por otro lado otras cosas, o por otro lado la party, ¿no? Que dividirlo un poco puede ser otra alternativa.
Speaking of competing for the same space, we got a question from the live chat here that speaks to those of us who have non-standard resolution monitors. What are we doing to support non-1080p resolutions? Many Star Citizens tend to be on the cutting edge of technology and have these 21 by 9 monitors or 32 by 9 monitors. If you're my dad, what are we doing to help the UI play better on that? Every time a patch comes out, sometimes the star map or the ship HUD doesn't exactly work real well with the wider screen resolutions.
Aquí hay una cosa que a mí me interesa, ¿no? Que le están preguntando qué coño pasa con la gente que tenemos pantallas de 21 novenos o 32 novenos, ¿no? Porque básicamente la información que te da la UI no coincide o no casa bien con lo que aparece en pantalla, ¿no? Entonces hay esos problemas. Entonces, ¿qué soluciones plantean para este tipo de casos?
That's a good one for Zane.
So, yeah, it's one thing is because again, as I mentioned before, is like all of our UI is authored in a very static manner. So we would be able to in our stuff that we have our flexible layout. We're developing the ability to have flexible layouts. Those can we can have that resized potentially depending on your aspect ratio, your monitor. So everything remains visible on screen. But the challenge also is that things are in world as well. So, while maybe the mobiGlas might be in world, we could also, take what is your current screen resolution and be able to scale that UI, even though it is diegetic and it is in the world. Also, maybe like a combination of that and field of view changes. Although that's something we're still kind of looking into.
Dice que básicamente que con el antiguo sistema, que era todo muy estático, el antiguo sistema de UI, y que tenía problemas con eso, y que ahora, bueno, que hay la posibilidad de recolocar las cosas con el nuevo sistema, ¿no? Y que otra de las opciones que están barajando sería como el hacer para las diferentes resoluciones como un reescalado de la UI de cierta manera, ¿no? Que sería otra de las cosas que están pensando.
In terms of getting that all to work.
Yeah. It's hard when prioritization is, cannot be understated how important it is to prioritize the things that we work on, because like we said before, you can't work on all the things all at once. And those widescreen monitors, while they're certainly cool and stuff like that, they are generally edge cases in the overall population of Star Citizen. So oftentimes we have to prioritize the things that affect the most number of users first before we start going to the edge cases. But
I was going to say that's something that affects the dev teams here as well, because everybody's working on these cool new features. So every quarter or every few weeks even, we get people saying, "Oh, we've got this cool thing. Can you do the UI for it?" And we have such a big list to choose from. We have to pick and choose the most important ones.
Vale, dice que básicamente, lo de siempre, ¿no? Que ellos tienen que priorizar, y ahora mismo que la gente que tenemos pantallas ultra wide, que no es una prioridad, porque dice que no somos la mayoría de la comunidad y que bueno, que hay que priorizar y punto, y que luego pues cuando acaben de hacer lo otro pues nos tocará a nosotros, a los ultra wide. Pero bueno, yo creo que cada vez más gente tiene ultra wide, sobre todo para Star Citizen. También está diciendo eso de que muchas veces el Simon dice, muchas veces que llega Peña y dice, podéis hacer esto que mola la hostia y tal, pero que a veces que como que tienen que escoger y tienen que priorizar, ¿no? Lo mítico.
So then kind of leave the rest till a little bit later.
Yeah. I swear half of the game development is just prioritization. It's probably a saying somewhere that I don't know about. All right, what's going on? Let's see. Are there any plans to add keyboard integration in navigating the various interfaces we encounter, in addition to just the mouse? Like even just hitting the arrow key.
Si van a poner que se pueda navegar a través de la interfaz con el teclado y no solo con el ratón, como se puede hacer ahora, ¿no?
Keyboard to go up and down in a UI thing, something like that.
Yeah, so we want to design our UI to be like, it's much more keyboard friendly. So right now you can only use the mouse, and that's just kind of rubbish, I think, because having that keyboard access, like whether it's an MFD or even when you're like in a shopping console, having the keyboard, able to navigate with that makes things a lot easier, because even if you have a mouse and you're interacting with it, you have kind of those two controls at the same time, and it can be much faster to go through different menus with the keyboard.
Está hablando de... hombre, entiendo que dice que sí, que están pensando en ello, ¿no? Porque dice que, de hecho, para moverse por pantallas, incluso en una tienda, ¿no? O algo así, que con el teclado para moverte entre diferentes secciones podría ser incluso más rápido que con el ratón.
For navigation.
O más cómodo, ¿no?
But it also, it allows us to kind of simplify a lot of stuff as well.
Yeah. I think we'd really like to be able to have people should be able to play the game with a variety of controllers, so they can use the keyboard and mouse, just the keyboard, or
joystick,
or a gamepad as well. So I think if you, in a way, like Zane was saying, if you design for the most difficult thing, which is potentially the gamepad, if you make a UI design that works for that, you're generally doing a kind of simple and elegant design anyway. So it's quite often a good way to approach things generally.
Dice que sí, que la idea es que se pueda manejar con diferentes controles, el tema de las pantallas y todo eso en el juego, y que una de las maneras de asegurarse de tener algo elegante y tal es que también es una parte difícil, es diseñarla para gamepads, ¿no? Para controladores, ¿no? En plan rollo, pues el mando de la Xbox o cosas así, ¿no? Y que dice que una vez tengan eso, pues que ya como que pueden hacer otras cosas, ¿no? Que eso les da ventana para más cosas.
And as we go through and redesign these various bits of the screens, so for example, we're starting to look at the MFDs at the moment. We've got this sort of high-level design at the moment, and as those start to get implemented, that's probably one of the first areas where we start to have this more kind of uniform control method that caters for everybody, or most people.
Yeah, like for example, if you're managing the individual items in an MFD. But like there can be maybe 3 or 4 different actions that are that you can partake upon that when you have it selected. You can be much quicker about doing that with like shortcuts rather than kind of hunting for the button with your mouse.
Dice que claro, que a la hora de tener pues un objeto en la nave, o que tienes varios objetos, al seleccionar uno y seleccionar lo que quieres hacer con ese objeto en concreto, ¿no? Pues que puede ser más rápido y más eficiente si tienes atajos de teclado para poder manejar lo que suceda, ¿no? Pues imaginaos potencia o apagarlo, encenderlo, yo qué sé, mil medidas.
But of course, anytime you're dealing with keyboard shortcuts, you're fighting for real estate at that point with other features. Anybody who's ever looked at our key mapping.
You can be contextual about what keys are available in what modes. So if you're interacting with an MFD, potentially you might not need some stuff that's normally otherwise. So.
All right. In a previous show, this was a while ago, we mentioned that we're moving away from the Flash and Scaleform stuff for HUD UI in favor of a homegrown solution. What can you tell us about that? What progress have we made? Where are we at?
Dice que en ediciones anteriores habían comentado de que quieren escapar del Flash para diseñar el tema de la UI, de la interfaz, y que nos pueden decir en los progresos al respecto del tema, ¿no?
So I've kind of already touched on a little bit on the previous questions, but yeah, we used Flash, and we're still using it now, but we're trying to get away from it. So we're kind of in this phase where we're transitioning away from using Flash, this kind of this program where we're baking our assets into a much more fully data-driven system. So previously in Flash, you kind of set things up. It's very static.
Vale, a ver si consigo más o menos traducir. Bueno, dice que tienen partes del Flash que todavía siguen usando partes en Flash, pero que tratan de alejar de eso y tender hacia lo que es, o sea, que están como una especie de transición a un sistema completo de conducción de datos, más o menos.
Don't see what it looks like in game until you actually export it and reload the editor. Also, the actual interface with the game code is much more simplified. So before we actually had to write classes for each individual field that you wanted to modify, and you had to then create a class to manage that field from on the Flash side. So you kind of, in a lot of cases, had like artists fiddling with code, which is just not ideal. It's just rubbish. So
Ok, entiendo que a ver, por lo que estaba diciendo un poco, entiendo que lo que tenían que hacer antes era como trabajar, como picar un poco de código, crear una variable, ¿no? Bueno, que es el tema de lenguaje de programación y tal, para cada vez que hacían algo en Flash, ¿no? Entonces que eso que como que era un poco rudo el hecho de tener a artistas trabajando con código y tal. Entonces, lo que entiendo, lo que me da a entender es que están creando un sistema, unas herramientas que les permita a los artistas ya diseñar directamente en el juego, supongo.
in our new system, we have like the standard API where any game programmer and any team could actually expose some variables, what we call bindings variables. So the example is like an ammo counter on a weapon. You know, game programmer can just kind of register a variable, ammo count, and then in our UI tech, we can actually create a node and then specify the name of that variable or select from it, from a list of available variables, and then just plug it straight into a text field. It's that easy. And we see it live. We see it updated live in the...
Vale, dice que claro, que ahora lo que pueden hacer es como a la hora de programar el juego, los desarrolladores como que hacen ellos imaginaos que crean una variable que es la cantidad de munición que tiene el arma, ¿no? Y eso pues tiene una numeración que pues va cambiando. Pues ellos lo que pueden hacer ahora con el nuevo sistema de interfaz es que al no ser Flash, al ser algo dentro de lo que es el motor de juego, ¿no? Entiendo. Lo que pueden es pillar ya directamente esa variable que ha sido creada y utilizarla ya sin tener que ellos añadir nada más, simplemente utilizarla y eso ya le va a dar los números y simplemente pueden utilizar el texto ya que les puede dar esos números, simplemente ya lo pueden sacar a la interfaz, ¿no? Tan simple como eso. Bueno, tan simple.
Game. In fact, we can actually be an editor and be in game. You could be like a character and have health and everything and work on a UI. So it's quite cool. It's taking so it's still using Scaleform as a renderer. Mm-hmm. So we kind of cut out the process of actually authoring the UI in Flash, and it's actually our own tools and our own data-driven system. But we're still using Scaleform to draw the vectors. So we boil it down to just a renderer. So things like when we're drawing borders, we're drawing backgrounds, we're drawing like curved corners and things like that, and we're rendering text. That's all it really does, and everything else on top of that is our own code and our own system. So at some point, we will take that render and we will build our own. So it's almost like an abstraction layer between our own tools and our own development and the renderer, and then at some point we switch that out for...
Vale, están diciendo que ahora mismo están utilizando un renderizador externo que lo que hace pues es crear el tema de las texturas y todo eso y demás, ¿no? Y que eso eventualmente lo irán eliminando hasta que creen su propia herramienta. Entonces, de tal manera que todo estará dentro del juego. Dice que una de las cosas interesantes que pueden hacer ahora es que se pueden meter como con un personaje, ¿no? que esté vivo, que tenga su salud, que respire y tal, todo el rollo. Y pueden pues crear la interfaz que tenga a partir de ahí dentro lo que es en el editor en juego, ¿no? Entonces simplemente está diciendo que de momento todavía dependen de esa parte, ¿no? Como que hay que estaría lo que es el código del juego, lo que es y luego estaría lo que es el render, ¿no? Por aquí. Entonces que esto pues así que lo van a quitar y que pues imagino que estará todo como sincronizado con el paso del tiempo, ¿no? Y que se ahorrarán la hostia de trabajo. Son las herramientas básicamente para desarrollar la UI de lo que está hablando.
Or just be completely rid of it.
How long have you been waiting to kill Flash?
¿Cuánto tenemos que esperar para matar a Flash? No. ¿Cuánto has esperado para deshacerte de Flash? ¿No? Y dice que desde que entró a la compañía estaba deseando deshacerse de Flash.
even more than that.
One thing that's really cool that we're finding as well is because we kind of own this tech and we've got a team working on it, we can say, I suppose, just going back to Flash, Flash was originally designed as an animation system for web stuff. So if you wanted to make a bar in that, you can do it. It takes a little time. But if someone goes, yeah, I don't like that kind of bar, can you turn it into a dial? That's going to take loads of extra work. Whereas with the building block stuff, we can just swap those over. And also, for example, if the dial thing didn't exist yet, we can just go to the programs and say, we could really do with the dial widget. And once that's made, then we can reuse that wherever we want to within the rest of the UI. So it gives us a lot of control as developers.
Yeah, and also because
Claro, dice que, por ejemplo, bueno, que es, para resumir así rápido, que si hacías un recurso o lo que sea o algo, que ahora mismo, antes lo que tenías que hacer era rediseñar todo, volverlo a hacer, porque Flash era un desastre. Y que ahora lo que pongo a hacer es incluso no solo modificar eso, porque tienen bastante control sobre el tema, sino que también utilizar ese widget, ¿no? Esa cosa que han hecho y utilizarla en otras cosas, ¿no? En plan, fácilmente.
it's fully data driven. Everything in the UI is programmatically drawn and driven from data. So we don't have to really worry as much about other artists stomping over each other's work because you can merge it in.
Right.
One change can be merged with another change without having to fiddle with and resolve conflicts over two binary files that change and then hunting for okay, which library symbol was changed, and it's much easier in so many different ways that maybe I can't list all of them right now.
Right.
Me está comentando que es más fácil hacerlo así, en resumidas, que antes tenían problemas de si cambiaban algo los desarrolladores de otro tema, pues que era un Cristo, ¿no? El ver qué cojones han cambiado, o a ver qué texto ha cambiado, qué letra ha cambiado, y que ahora pues que como ya pillan la variable directamente, pues no tienen esos problemas, ¿no?
Let's get into some of the more in-game stuff, the experience that people are having with the UI. I got a section here for personal UI and helmet stuff. What are your thoughts on being able to nope, we already did that one. We covered that one already. Has there been any discussion about adding a compass ribbon, giving us cardinal directions on planets?
¿Ha habido alguna discusión, algún debate acerca de coordenadas o de compás que se vea en el casco, ¿no?
So, well, I suppose that's another of those is what's the reason for wanting it? So
What's the reason for wanting to know what direction you're going?
Well, yes, but there are other ways to solve that potentially. So it doesn't necessarily have to be a compass widget. One thing we're looking into, you probably saw it on one of the earlier videos, when we showed the area map, this interior map, I think we had it on there. We had a little mock-up of a personal radar that kind of shows you like a mini-map, essentially.
Dice que no tiene por qué ser directamente una de las soluciones el tema del compás, sino que también se puede optar por poner un minimapa, ¿no? Y a partir de ahí pues poder localizarte.
Something like that could show you your direction, for example. So having a little compass is not necessarily the only solution. But as we revise the HUD, the visor stuff, which we're starting at the moment, then if it seems like that's a compass, for example, is really necessary, then we'd certainly consider that and investigate it.
Yeah, it's probably not out of the question. It's just, you also have to take into account that the planets are procedurally generated, and you kind of have to have a way to define what's north, west, east, south.
Exactly. We'd have to create poles. We have to create poles for the planet, simulate magnetic poles, as it were, and then, be able to position you.
Yeah, and you can solve some of the navigation problems with things like if we had some kind of sat-nav-like system in there, which I know there were some questions about in the chat. Something like that could also solve the problem in a different way. So there's...
Claro, está diciendo de ponerle un compás o una brújula, pues que tendrían que ponerle polos a los planetas. Y que también es una cosa, pues, el tema de que, claro, los planetas al ser procedurales y tal y todo el rollo, pues ponerle polos. Y otra solución podría ser simplemente, pues, hacer un Google Maps, ¿no? Básicamente.
Yeah, the compass ribbon is more than just a UI question, because again, you can't just program a UI thing and have it work. There's system design that has to go into it in order to build a relationship on that planet that lets you lock to it. And then, of course, there'd have to be different ones for every single planet and moon, and it would have to know when you're transferring from one to another, and so because you don't want to be on Yela and have it be pointing you towards north on Hurston and stuff like that. So
There's a lot of these edge cases make UI complicated sometimes. We think we've got something really easy to do, and then there's these 5 things that we hadn't thought about.
Yeah, it's one of those things, there are a lot of things that sometimes seem like they're a UI issue, and it's not. It can be a system design issue. That it's UI in its most basic sense exposes information that's built by other system designers and game designers and stuff. So if that system hasn't been developed, there's no way for the UI team to expose it.
Pues está comentando ahí Jared que claro que la UI lo que hace es exponer o sacar por pantalla cosas que otros desarrolladores han estado haciendo, ¿no? Y que si no se ha desarrollado eso, pues la UI no puede trabajar con eso, no puede enseñarlo por pantalla.
Yeah. Is it possible to have a button to hide the HUD or a button to reactivate it when needed? These are probably from screenshot folks who just want to, clear everything.
Si es posible tener un botón para esconder el HUD, para pues, hacer fotos y demás.
Developers asking us that. How do you hide the HUD?
Yeah.
What CVAR do I need to invoke to hide it?
Right.
So, especially for the director's cam and being able to record stuff, that's yes, we'll definitely be improving that system as we overhaul our UI. So we'll take that into account. The same thing that we do there will also help us developers also hide HUD for screenshots we take internally. So like we can specify certain sections.
Está diciendo que sí, que es algo que quieren implementar, sobre todo con el nuevo tema de las cámaras en el modo director para poder hacer tomas, fotos y demás, y que incluso que ellos a nivel interno le puede ser útil para trabajar y hacer capturas de ciertas cosas en las que estén trabajando.
Of the UI, like whether that's just the ship HUD, but maybe not the visor, right? Or I want to hide all UI, but I don't want to hide the UI that's just in the environment that helps kind of bring it to life, like background fluff screens. So things like that. We need to have like differentiated CVARs.
Hablando de la posibilidad de esconder solo partes, no todo, ¿no? De esconder, por ejemplo, lo de la nave o esconder solo del casco, o para poder ver cosas en el fondo, ¿no? Que se puede esconder por partes.
Hide the UI, like when you're trying to record stuff and you don't want all these markers on your screen. That's just destroying the scene.
So there's one thing that relates to this, which is for the general UI, especially for the visor, for the FPS stuff, we want to have a system where it only shows you the UI that's relevant at the time. So, for example, if you put your weapon away, you don't really need to see the weapon display on the corner of the screen, or potentially you wouldn't show the health until you actually get injured, that kind of thing. So that should as well help with this kind of perception of...
Claro, está hablando de unas cosas que pueden ser interesantes, que si no tienes sacada el arma, pues que no se vea el arma en pantalla, o que si no tienes daños, que tampoco se muestra la salud, que eso dice que podría como mejorar la experiencia.
So, cluttered screen in a way. So right. If we only show things when they're really needed, then that's going to also feel a bit nicer just for the day-to-day players as well.
Yeah, that ties into that kind of like contextually driven stuff that I was talked about before.
Okay. Are there any plans to allow a chat UI to be viewed when we're not wearing a helmet? I think we've mentioned the possibility of a special like contact lens or something.
¿Alguna posibilidad de ver el chat sin tener el casco? La posibilidad, pues eso, de que haya lentes de contacto a través de las que se pueda ver el Moviglass y demás. Bueno, el Moviglass, información de la interfaz.
To see our chat when we're in, player clothes down on Area 18 or something.
Yes, is the answer. So yeah, it's a multiplayer game, so you need to be able to see what your teammates are doing and talking to you about and so on. So we definitely do have plans to have that visible pretty much all the time. So if you've got a helmet, you just got your lens, which is the state without the helmet. In the ship, third-person view as well, potentially. So yes, we...
Claro, dice que sí, que es una cosa que tienen pensado, que es un juego, es un MMO, ¿no? Entonces que es necesario poder ver a tus compañeros y demás. Bienvenido al canal Mascacierro 2000. Gracias por el follow. Pues el tema es ese, ¿no? Que sí, que en el caso de que te saques el casco, pues estarán las lentillas y verás ahí la movida, ¿no? Para poder hablar con la gente.
We would like to have that in sometime soon.
Soon, ha dicho que pronto.
We actually touched on this a while back. The next question is about that interior map that we showed a while back. the little, like the mini map or the 3D map. What progress have we made? Where's that at? This question is asking. They just really want it, please. It literally says, I don't have a question. Let me read it, actually. A couple years ago, we were shown interior maps on the player HUDs. Years ago, I don't think it was years. But I don't have a question. I really just want it, please, is what the question says.
I think that's one you can answer.
Yeah, I know. I really want it too. I mean, that was one of the first things that we started working on when I started here, and it's going to be a really cool addition. So we kind of got a development version that's halfway there, I suppose, at the moment. But we made a decision fairly recently that what we were going to do is focus on getting the ship HUDs and the FPS HUD sorted out first. So as they're kind of more integral to the overall gameplay, we want to get them right, get them playing well, and then we're going to go back to the area map stuff later on.
Vale, está preguntándole un tipo, ¿no? Que hace tiempo que había visto mapas y tal, que cómo va eso de desarrollado. Y bueno, está respondiendo que dice que de momento que están en stand-by, porque, o sea, que está a la espera, porque están dándole prioridad al tema de pues cómo se muestran las naves, ¿no? El tema de contacto y todo eso, y del FPS, que primero están haciendo eso, y cuando esté eso, pues que sí que podrán volver al tema de los mapeados y demás.
Really soon. It depends a bit on what else comes up, but yeah, we'd love to get that up and running. And also that's going to tie into this, well, you'll have the full screen version where you can look around the whole area, and also this little mini map that you get on your visor.
Claro, dice que tendrás el tema de lo que es el mapa a pantalla completa y aparte el mapa en pequeñito, ¿no?
As well, so it's going to be useful to players, especially as they're exploring interiors.
You said
Dice que va a ser útil para los jugadores, especialmente para explorar interiores.
ship HUD. Let's move into the ship HUD questions. Haha, I thought you could avoid it. No. Ship HUD. Right off the bat, why does quantum calibration mode, scanning mode, mining mode, and any other sub-UI mode take away or hide crucial flight information, such as speed, altitude, attitude, and any other useful information?
¿Por qué los diferentes modos de vuelo, en plan el modo Quantum, el modo Scanner o el modo Minero, por qué aparta, ¿no? Se deja de ver información vital para el vuelo, como es la velocidad a la que vas y demás?
Needed for basic flight.
So they're basically developed in like under the hood as different contexts. In our overhaul of the design, we're factoring that all that flight HUD information, so it's all available to you regardless of whether you're kind of in scanning or in mining mode or whatever it is, because it is still relevant. You can still fly, so therefore you should still retain all your flight information that you need. So in those modes, we're looking at potentially contextually changing out the screens themselves. So rather than just having the HUD change for these different modes, we can leverage the screens in some capacity, contextually changing some of the elements, shifting elements around so that certain information that's relevant to that mode can be displayed.
Bueno, básicamente dice que sí, que es importante tener la información de vuelo y todo y demás, y que están mirando de hacer cambios potenciales en el estilo, en las formas en general de cómo se muestran las cosas para que se pueda ver efectivamente la información de vuelo, porque aunque estés haciendo un salto calibrando, pues sigues estando volando y demás.
Rather than just kind of taking up your entire HUD as well.
So it's something that has happened over the course of development, but not an intention to take away crucial flight information when you're trying to spool up your quantum drive.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, sometimes with these things, you don't realize that it's going to cause issues until you try it, and that's probably one of those cases.
Integrations are
dice que algunas veces
where most bugs come from.
Dice que algunas veces, pues, al integrar las cosas que no se sabe cómo van a funcionar hasta que las ves en juego, y ya le está comentando de que al hacer... Ya le está comentando que, claro, que a veces pues hay equipos trabajando de diferentes secciones, diferentes cosas, ¿no? Y que cuando interactúa todo, ¿no? Y cuando se implementa todo, pues que a veces hay conflictos y tal, y es cuando empieza a ver los problemas. Bueno, lo que pasa siempre en el Star Citizen, ¿no? En el desarrollo en general.
Own little universes, they work great, and then it's when you integrate them into game dev, and that's where all the collisions and stuff happens. So, and that's how bugs are made. That's the story of the birds and the bugs. Never mind. I'm kind of off today. It's weird. All right. Can you update us on plans for the landing UI improvements needed for the implementation?
Que nos hablen del tema del aterrizaje, de la interfaz de aterrizaje por el tema del hover mode.
So when we actually a while back we changed the method that we actually used to render the UI from what was called 3DI to rendered to texture. So it's actually rendered as part of the screens, and it actually takes all of the kind of post effects and everything. So the original landing UI that replaced the radar, what it was built on was the 3DI tech, and that just wasn't compatible with the rendered to texture. So that's kind of how we lost it. So we're looking at bringing that back. In some capacity.
Vale, en resumidas cuentas, lo que tenían hecho no sirve porque no es compatible con el sistema renderizado que están utilizando ahora, eso de que pues cuando estaba el radar que se quitaba y aparecía el tema de landing, y que pues como que lo han perdido con el sistema que tienen ahora, y que bueno, como que van a tratar de traerlo de vuelta.
Just as a better design.
Con un diseño mejor.
Focusing mainly on the structure and the layout of the MFDs right now. Kind of defining, as I said, like what contexts are available.
Claro, dice que básicamente que ahora mismo se están centrando en el tema de las MFDs y de la estructura que tienen las MFDs y qué contenido es necesario que aparezca o cómo manejar ese contenido. Así que de momento no es una prioridad.
Things should be displayed where, when, how.
Aunque debería.
But yeah, that's definitely something that we need, and as part of that, also potentially having some kind of like guide system as well. So you can, in having some AR element that is displayed in conjunction with that widget.
We touched on this a little bit before when we talked about the customization thing and how we want to, build our own default stuff first. So one of the big problems here, let's get into it. How do we intend to improve the legibility of UI elements that tend to sit over the environment, an environment that can sometimes be very glaring? I mean, everybody's played Star Citizen has experienced this. If you point your ship anywhere,
que nos cuenten qué pasa con el sol y con la IA, porque cuando miras al sol que no se ve un pimiento, básicamente.
So there's a few kind of more in-world solutions that we're looking at. I mean, the obvious thing you can do is potentially add a drop shadow of the UI or just make it black or something, but that just kind of destroys the aesthetic of what we're trying to go for. So one thing that we're looking at is, and we started this a bit with the Gladius side, although it's not completely there yet, is having some system where it's contextually, it's dynamically taking the brightness of the environment and adjusting the brightness of the UI in response to that. In addition,
Vale. A ver, por parte. Dice que como que están tratando de hacer un tema para que cuando que lo tienen en la Gladius, que ha empezado a hacerlo, para que se ajuste automáticamente el brillo de la interfaz, para que de esa manera pues se corrija y se pueda ver si te da el sol de frente, ¿no?
To make things look and feel much more in world, we want to kind of have the HUDs displayed on actual geometry that you can see. So it kind of grounds it in the world much better. But as part of that, we can kind of leverage that to maybe dynamically tint that, in addition to brightening the UI based upon environmental conditions. So it's a much more, we're thinking that as like a much more like in-world, and it uses it leverages the in-game elements in a way that's kind of, it's more convincing.
Vale. Está comentando de que en adición al tema de que, bueno, habla de que la interfaz ahora tenga una geometría, ¿vale? Y que eso pues que ayude a que se vea mejor, en teoría, ¿no? Y que también en adición a todo eso, añadido al corregir el brillo y demás, que también han pensado en combinar el cómo tintar un poco el fondo, ¿no? De donde está la interfaz, y así de esa manera pues que se pueda ver, ¿no? Contra el sol, a contraluz.
Then just kind of making it like black or something. So.
Is there something we can do beyond just brightening? Is that the only thing that?
Well, it's like like just taking the HUD for instance. It's like a combination of tinting that physical glass plane a little bit, but also brightening the UI that's on it. So it's almost like when you have your phone on automatic brightness and you go out in the sunlight,
right.
It can automatically adjust to make it more readable.
Claro, está diciendo de que sería algo parecido, lo que quieren hacer es algo parecido al tema de como cuando sacas un móvil y el móvil se cambia el brillo automático, ¿no?
Because right now, if you notice, it's actually an issue with the eye adaptation, where if you go down onto the planet, the UI, even on you'll see it on your screens as well. It actually, compared to when you're in space, it's very dim in sunlight. Mm. So it's about kind of taking those environmental conditions and then using that to potentially brighten stuff up. But it's something that we're looking into and kind of we talked a little bit about with our graphics team. So that, as well as also potentially having some kind of effect in the UI tech and the UI rendering tech to like things like the health widget, for instance. Like maybe it's not just stuff in your visor, having like a backdrop that's not just a black square, but it's a little more elegant. It's like a blurred frosted glass effect that helps with readability, and also not just against bright backgrounds, but also busy backgrounds. If you just have a lot of dark, and just if it's too busy, like if it's like a fence or something, it's...
Yeah. Que están básicamente hablando de pues como de hacer un rollo incluso medio como emborronar un poco o combinar diferentes tácticas, que no lo tienen claro todavía lo que quieren hacer o cómo quieren resolver el tema de que no se vea un pimiento cuando nos da el sol de cara. Así que por lo visto, hasta que acaben de debatir el tema de cómo lo quieren hacer, nos vamos a comer unos buenos rayos de sol.
You kind of get
it gets lost.
You get kind of a camouflage effect. All the visual noise kind of disguises the UI on top. So being able to blur that out should help with that.
Mm-hmm. Right. A lot of the suggestions, the community offers no shortage of suggestions. A lot of the suggestions that come from the community often focus around adding a small black stroke around letters or putting a drop shadow behind text or stuff. Is that stuff not something we can consider, or?
Definitely some. I mean, we can.
Mucha de la gente de la comunidad está diciendo, oye, la gente de la comunidad está diciendo que quizás el bordear las letras con color negro ¿es algo que estamos considerando o qué cojones pasa?
Definitely consider things along those lines. It depends how subtle you are about it as well. If you have a really obvious outline or drop shadow, like Zane said, that's not necessarily going to fit with the sort of sci-fi look that we're going for. There may be ways to do something very subtly, so it's very
it can be very subtle. So I wouldn't say it's like out of the question or anything, but like it's not just overbearing too strong that it just looks cartoony.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. Right, you don't want it to look like a cartoon.
Yeah. So we want to just explore the ideas that I've described before, and then we'll just see where we're at with that.
Yeah.
But ultimately, we want the UI to be readable.
Yeah.
Bueno, la respuesta que han dado los creadores ha sido sí. Bueno, la verdad es que queremos hacer un estilo más de ciencia ficción y tal. Lo de bordear el tema de las letras, ¿no? Con ese sombreado, como que quedaría muy rollo cartoon, que no es el estilo de ciencia ficción que quieren tener. Y Jared les dice, bueno, pero finalmente tendremos que poder leer lo que pone en la interfaz, si no estamos jodidos, ¿no?
Just as much as people want the UI to be readable. So,
it's going to be one of those things like a lot of the UI where we basically want to try out a few different options. So we concept different ideas, like we could do it this way or this way, and then step back and look and decide which is going to solve it the best way, and then pick.
Bueno, lo que nos ha quedado claro es lo de Best Way, que dice que Best Way, bueno, la mejor manera que varias opciones y las irán viendo y escogerán la que más les guste.
Pick that and go and put it in.
Currently, the MFDs on ships have a default configuration that must be changed each time the pilot gets back into the pilot seat. I know. Are there intentions to add the ability to save custom MFD configuration presets for individual players' preferences?
la posibilidad de cuando llegamos a las pantallas de la nave, las MFD, que siempre tenemos que estar personalizándolas y demás, cada vez que entramos a la nave, si se van a guardar en cierto punto, ¿no? Si se va a salvar esa configuración.
Oh yeah, I mean, that's gotta persist at some point. It's just the
Sí,
issue
que en
now
algún
is it
punto
doesn't persist.
tendrá que persistir.
So, I will say in our new UI tech, the UI will be what we call stateless. So it won't store anything. It won't store any state about itself. It takes everything from like an entity or what's on the server. So basically, when we go to develop the MFD or implement the new design that we're working on, by that point, hopefully we'll be able to persist. Like, as you enter and exit the seat, you'll see the same screens that you were on before, even if you've tabbed over or you've shifted.
Vale, que básicamente que como el tema de la UI, de la interfaz y todo eso pilla tecnología, o sea, pilla datos del juego, pues que al final cuando los servidores puedan persistir de la manera que se debe, pues que sí, que esas pantallas también, la configuración, pues también tendrán esa persistencia y pues cuando nos montemos otra vez en la nave tendremos la configuración según la hayamos dejado.
Things around, so it's definitely something we wanna.
Yeah. Another thing related to that, we want to, when we do this pass on the MFDs, we want to make sure that we're showing the most important information by default as well.
Yeah.
So I'm sure people will be able to change things and so on, but it would mean that there'd be less need for the kind of the first time player, for example, to swap things around. Hopefully it'll be set up in a way that's good for the general players.
Potentially presets as well.
No, está comentando de que a medida... El otro no quiere que la gente personalice, quiere que da leña ahí para esto hay que hacerlo así, por cojones. Bueno, básicamente está diciendo que encontraron la manera para que la mayoría de los jugadores no necesiten cambiar nada y sea suficiente para los jugadores en general lo que tengan.
You can quickly activate. You may want something that's a screen configuration, when we go to kind of enable the visor configuration as well, having presets associated with those that you can quickly access is something we can look at as well.
Yeah, plenty of things to consider.
Yeah, the ship MFDs, put it diplomatically, can be a bit cumbersome. Having to drill down from one menu to the next menu to the next menu to the next menu to finally get to the thing that you're looking for. And in a combat situation, that those seconds can be deadly. I know we're in the process of working out a complete refactor of the ship MFDs, right?
That is correct.
Vale, comenta Jared que están en el proceso de rehacer todo lo que es el tema de las MFDs y dicen los chavales de la UI que sí que es correcto.
Anything you can tell us about that?
So, where do we start?
Yeah, where do we start? I mean, already.
¿Algún asunto o algo que quieran comentar y dice que por dónde empiezan, ¿no?
But I mean, yeah. So, I mean, right now, I guess the most obvious thing is that like they're just small and they're scaled down. They're not readable. And I mean, we used to have what we would call these support screens, where we kind of have this screen that had minimal information on it, but its font size was made in a way that was legible. Mm-hmm. So we're kind of looking at this system where, by default, you have a kind of a contextually a different setup on your screens. A setup, I mean, a more minimized display. So it's like showing you really only what you need to know. But where all the font sizes are very legible. So it's really just about how much pixels the screen is taken up on your screen, on your monitor, when you're kind of in the default view. But when you're focused in on a screen, what that can do is it can contextually change to something that's more in depth that we want.
Está comentando un poco así, haciéndolo por encima de que lo que están haciendo es como... Si tú miras las MFDs, pues las pantallas de la nave como que te mostrarán información básica y con un tamaño de fuente aceptable para que sea legible, ¿no? Y que a medida que si tú te acercas a una pantalla, pues ahí el momento de acercarte a esa pantalla te mostrará información más detallada.
Want on the MFDs. So whether you're focusing in on MFD or you're in flight mode, that will contextually change to present you with always readable information.
I get you.
Yeah, so
Claro, o sea, lo que está diciendo es que tú tendrás, pues eso, la pantalla la verás pues con una información mínima si estás lejos y a medida que te vas acercando pues cambiará y si estás volando, ¿no? Pues que cambiará y te mostrará información que necesites, pero a medida que te acercas.
So when you're
I mean,
sitting back, when you're sitting back in your seat, the
layout
MFDs will change,
console
and it'll
change,
be
yeah.
only the most necessary information.
Cuando estés
big,
sentado, solo la
legible,
información
and
más
then when you
necesaria.
zoom in,
Y cuando hagas zoom,
it'll sense that and it'll change and reformulate and show you more information.
Yeah, actually, the cool thing about the UI tech that I'm helping develop is that we're kind of taking cues from the area of like web development, because that's my background too, so I know a lot about it. But you have this thing called responsive design. So,
está hablando ahora aquí del tema de otra vez de que él en su pasado que se dedicaba al diseño de web y está hablando un poco del tema del responsive, que es lo que os comentaba del móvil y todo eso, ¿no? Y entonces, pues que trata de basarse en eso, de inspirarse en eso para hacer el tema de los MFDs, ¿no? Que tengan que cambien a medida que te vayas acercando, ¿no? a la pantalla.
So you can have rules set up where beyond a certain point, like if there's a box in our UI that goes beyond a certain point, that it shrinks down beyond a certain point, that you can actually have different styles or visual descriptions applied to that, and conditionally depending on maybe how much it's sized. So we're kind of leveraging that to help with the reformulation of the UI on screens, as well as when we're laying things out and when we potentially open up customization, that can be really helpful as like a tool to help us manage and maintain the UI, because even on like different size screens in the game, you have like 69, you have 4.3s, you have 1.1s. Currently, we have to maintain 3 different binary files for those. And if you want to make a change in one, well, you have to go into each binary file and make that same change. But if we can just maintain one UI and then just have these different style rules applied to it, then it makes it much easier to maintain. So you just...
Claro, está comentando de que a la hora de personalizar o el tema de las interfaces, de la interfaz y demás, que utilizando este sistema de responsive, ¿no? De que tengan como una UI global general, pues me imagino que se refiere a cuando estás lejos, y luego al acercarte, si aparece pues este tipo de profundidad, como que ya tenga incluso diferentes como opciones de personalización ya incluidas, de tal manera que si tú cambias algo, modificas algo, que no tengas que acceder o modificar también los archivos que estás utilizando, ¿no? O volver a coger los archivos, ¿no? Que ya directamente como que, aunque estés personalizando algo, como que ya esté ahí anclado a lo que estás haciendo, ¿no?
Change one thing and it changes for every different manufacturer or every different kind of configuration.
Claro, efectivamente se está refiriendo al tema de bueno, si tienes velocidad, una nave, no tienes una variable de velocidad y lo que tienes que mostrar es velocidad, o pues esa velocidad, pues cómo hacer para que, aunque cambies de aspecto, ¿no? Aunque cambies a Drake, a Miska, a Crusader intergaláctico, a cualquiera, que no tengas, o sea, que simplemente tengas que como seleccionar el aspecto de esa casa o de esa marca, entiendo, ¿no?
And it all works. So
no que tengas que diseñar un único exclusivo para cada marca, ¿no? Y pillar ahí ese dato para cada marca. Entiendo que lo dice por eso.
Yeah, it's a bit of a tangent. But
That's all right.
It's all right. No,
Well,
we love tangents.
One thing might be interesting is the actual process that we're going through with those. We've got Mark Colleran, he's quite famous for UI fans out there. he's looking through the designs we've already got, like what's in the game now, and also working very closely with the vehicles team, talking to them, what do you want to show on these screens, and kind of trying to plan out generally what's in all the MFDs, and then going and redesigning each screen to kind of get the best out of it. So we're at that stage now, and then as Zane's team progresses the UI tech, eventually we'll get to a point where the screens are redesigned, the tech's ready, and then we'll start to put those in the game.
I was just Googling.
Me está comentando una experiencia de que estuvo ahí trabajando con la gente que hace vehículos y tal, empezando a diseñar los MFD. Y digamos que a través de conversaciones que tuvieron y demás, pues una vez resolvieron la información que se necesitaba y todo eso, pues ya es cuando pueden empezar a poner las MFD, cuando empezaron a poner lo que son las MFDs en el juego, ¿no? Para...
Mark Colloran now. Cargo UI. Let's talk about Cargo UI. Right now,
interfaz de la carga.
Go back to Chaos to see the inventory of what they're carrying on their ships. Do we have any plans for implementing some kind of shipboard?
Ahora mismo, para saber la carga que tenemos, necesitamos ir a un kiosco, ¿no? Y mirar la carga de la nave, porque no tenemos otra manera de mirarlo. Si van a implementar algo que nos muestre la carga sin tener que ir a esos lugares, ¿no?
Cargo UI, so that we can see what we're carrying without having to get to a destination first.
Yeah, there definitely should be.
Yep,
Yeah.
It's something that we will look at. Yes, so we know that's needed, and yeah, where it comes in the timeline, I'm not sure, but at some point, yeah.
Me dice que sí, que es algo que tiene que mirar, que sí. Y buena Superjote.
Wasn't on the list. That was just one I put in there myself.
Yes, Derek.
Well done.
Are there any plans to allow us to prioritize the use of missiles or torpedoes through MFDs?
I think that's another.
Algo que nos permita priorizar el uso de misiles o torpedos a través de las pantallas de las naves, de las MFDs.
Another thing that we're going
Yeah.
to look at as well.
Mhm.
So I believe
We
So I
had
think-
that previously. I think it broke.
yeah, I think John Crew commented
Yeah.
on this one. I think the way it is at the moment, the UI actually supports that, but there's a bit of refactoring he's doing in the background to get the weapons set up
Right.
to match up. So
Yeah.
it's something we do want to do, and it will be there in the future at some point. Yeah.
Dice que ahora mismo que es un poco enrevesado el hacerlo, pero que en el futuro que es algo que van a hacer y que lo harán sin duda. Se puede priorizar.
And a better design for it rather than just clicking up. Yeah.
Yeah.
Are there any
Y con un
plans
mejor
to
diseño,
allow
no
us to
simplemente
increase
clicando arriba, arriba,
other
arriba.
UI modes. Right now, we can only see them in, I think, the quantum drive mode.
Yeah. So I think this is definitely something I'd be interested in. It's one of those things, it kind of relates back to that thing we were talking about before with managing how much information you show. So
Right.
if we get it to a point where we can, I suppose, cut down the amount of icons and things to a sensible level, then we can consider whether it's worth putting those in other views as well. So it's definitely something that we should look at. Which views it goes into and how much, and if it even goes into certain ones, I don't know at this stage, but that's one of those things where you have to get the system in, try it, and then decide where's the best places to
Yeah, it's
use it.
very much iterative.
Otra pregunta que tiene que ver con la cantidad de cosas que aparecen por pantalla y simplemente diciendo que a medida que vayan resolviendo el poder hacer pues esto de una manera inteligente, que se muestren las cosas por pantalla adecuadas y demás, que irán viendo, ¿no? De la IA esa que quieren hacer para que muestre las
What are
prioridades.
ETA markers? You know, when we go to quantum travel, we see the distance ticking down, but based on the capabilities of our ship and the type of quantum drive we have, something that tells us how long it's going to take.
Claro, que sería interesante tener un estimado, un ETA, ¿no? Un estimado de cuánto vamos a tardar en llegar en tiempo. Porque ahora mismo solo tenemos la distancia, pero estaría genial poder ver una cuenta atrás.
So I know if I can get up and go to the bathroom or not.
Y así sabes si puedo ir al
I think that's a good idea. I think,
al baño o no.
we were looking at that question earlier and saying, hey, what do you think about this? And generally everyone's like, yeah, we should do that. So yeah, that's definitely something we'll look to.
Vale, que es
Yeah,
otra
I think
cosa
at some
que
point, yeah.
definitivamente va a estar
And we have
mirando.
an ETA for when your oxygen runs out, so I don't see a reason why we would have an ETA for that.
No, dice
Right,
que tienen un estimado para cuánto el oxígeno se acaba y por qué no tiene y no sabe cuál es la razón por qué no tiene un estimado para cuándo va a terminar el salto.
For inner thought, in the current inner thought system, through floating menus, is that closer? Is that? What are our thoughts on inner thought? I'm trying to reword the question a bit. It kind of wanders around. But this person is asking about if we're happy with where inner thought is right now, or if we've got plans to continue to iterate on it.
Well, I know there's a lot of cases where inner thought kind of appears where ideally it shouldn't. So like things over screens, like when you're, I guess the obvious example is when you're in an airlock, you get an inner thought saying press the screen, whereas why not just we should just have the press to screen, and that's something our UI tech allows for now. So we can actually have like buttons in the UI. So when you're specifying maybe like what floor you want to go up to, like in an elevator or something, that can be buttons that you click on in an actual UI, rather than having this inner thought option that's kind of doesn't really make sense in the world. So.
Está comentando el tema de el inner thought, que es como pensamiento emergente, se traduce así más o menos, pensamiento emergente, ¿no? Que es cuando vamos por ahí nos dice clica el botón izquierdo para hacer no sé qué, o si te pillas una constellation no vayas a atmósfera, ¿no? Bueno, entonces el tema es que dicen de que quieren buscar otra manera, o que quizás que cuando te acerques a un elevador o tal, como que salte de ahí y que no sea tan así como puesto en la pantalla, como un mensaje que te aparezca ahí debajo, ¿no? Que como no es no es algo que quede bien, ¿no? Que es algo que como que quieren cambiar un poco.
We'll probably look at the visuals a bit as well, because it's okay, it's usable and so on, but I'm sure we can make it look a bit prettier. We do have some other interaction stuff going on at the moment that we're kind of figuring out, which could be quite cool that relates to that, but that's probably something we want to save till a little bit later, till there's more to show.
Claro, dice que de momento que no se ve tan mal y que es algo que prefieren reservar para más adelante, que no es una de sus prioridades para nada, ¿no? Está al final de la cola.
Thank you. I was literally about to say. A long time ago, from the live chat here, we talked about the potential of manufacturer-specific UIs. Like you get into an Anvil and the UI is Anvil. You get into an Aegis and Aegis ship and the UI is Aegis. Is that still on the plan? Is that still on the roadmap? Is still in the car?
Yes, and it's much more possible now with the UI tech because we have.
Estaba hablando del tema de las interfaces personalizadas para las diferentes marcas, que se habló de eso hace tiempo, si es algo que sigue estando planteado, y dice que sí, que ahora además es mucho más posible debido a la nueva tecnología que tienen de interfaces.
The style sheet system. So, as I was kind of describing it before, everything had to be baked into binary assets. So if you wanted to have different manufacturers' styles, this would require one file for Anvil, one file for RSI, one file for Origin. Oh, we want to change, this thing and that thing, and let's add this feature in, and we got to display it. So, that's going into all these different binary files, adding that UI, adding the code. But with style sheets, we could just have one kind of white box UI, and we just the visual description is defined and applies to that. So, we actually have this example now in our kind of rough initial implementation in the UI tech where we actually select from a dropdown. First have like RSI, and that applies a set of rules like, the corners are maybe 10 pixel chamfer and the font color is this and so forth and so on. But then we switch to Origin, and everything's kind of more elegant. It's all the style is changed just via dropdown because it's data driven, so it's not like it's baked in.
One thing that could be cool with it as well is once the system's in place, it gives us more opportunity to hand it over to the graphic designers. So if you've got a guy who comes up with a really cool retro design for one of the ships, for example, it's a lot easier for us to kind of drop that into the game and have it work now. So there's less dependence on someone going into Flash and knowing how to code in Flash.
Vale, básicamente están diciendo lo que habían comentado al principio, ¿no? Que ahora mismo que sería posible porque la tecnología permite que no tienes como que crear un apartado diferente o una variable diferente para un binario diferente para cada uno de las personalizaciones que quieres hacer de Anvil o de MISC o de tal, sino que ahora tienes otro tipo de herramientas, ¿no? En las que se puede como modificar, ¿no? Y yo imagino, o sea, pero supongo que es algo parecido a los que hemos visto, ¿no? De que a ciertas cosas se le pueden dar propiedades de alguna manera y ya está, ¿no? Como por ejemplo, pues hacer las movidas curvas o hacer el diseño más elegante, más industrial, más tal, ¿no? De lo que es la interfaz. Y básicamente eso es lo que están hablando ahora, que ahora es mucho más sencillo, en definitiva, hacer eso y sobre todo porque cuando le dan el trabajo, o sea, cuando el artista quiere diseñar algo en plan, pues una nave retro o algo así que acaban de comentar, pues que no tendría que recurrir a pelearse con el código de Flash ni nada, ¿no? Simplemente pues podría dibujar y implementar eso directamente en lo que es el tema de la interfaz, ¿no? La herramienta de la interfaz y diseñarlo y ya está.
Use its kind of slightly outdated interface, so it should really help when we get to that stage.
Yeah, there's a lot of properties now that you can modify with these style rules. So a lot of possibilities and a lot of ways to differentiate between manufacturers. But also, it's not just styling as well. It's also when we get to it, it's also kind of the way you lay things out as well. So things like ships like Origin, MISC will have more holographic UI. Mm-hmm. It's part of our tech, and actually I think we're investigating the initial engineering requirement for this, but making it so you can have 3D UI as well. So being able to, in the tech and the tools for a developer to build a UI where they can manipulate different planes in the Z-axis.
Está hablando de que, por ejemplo, en el caso de, o sea, que no solo hay diferencias en estilo, sino también en la forma en la que la interfaz se presenta, ¿no? Que si tú te montas una nave de Origin, pues que como que será que holográfica y tal, y que incluso también están trabajando en la posibilidad de hacer esto en 3 dimensiones, que ya nos comentó Chris Robert hace tiempo, ¿no? De que estaban trabajando en eso por el tema de los brillos y demás y toda la historia. Y que eso le permitiría trabajar a los desarrolladores incluso en diferentes planos, ¿no? Les permite trabajar con profundidad en lo que es la misma. Bueno, sí, ahora.
Yep. So make a 3D UI and have it look really holographic. So having that kind of style for the more kind of what you say technically advanced ships versus more retro ones. I think we have just the retro one just fitted in every ship right now.
Yeah.
But that'll eventually be something we definitely want. We want to differentiate quite significantly between like the different tech levels of the ships, I guess you'd call it.
You just gave it.
Dice que quieren incluso que mediante este sistema que se vean representadas las diferencias incluso entre los diferentes niveles de tecnología de las naves o de las marcas, supongo que se referirá, ¿no?
Every VR enthusiast heart palpitations, Zane. We're almost out of time. Let's talk about Mobiglass. We haven't really touched about Mobiglass. 2 questions, really. One, the responsiveness of Mobiglass can sometimes be a little slow. Is that a engineering thing? Is that a UI thing? Do we have any thoughts about that? You may not be the people to ask. I don't know.
No, I mean, I think
La respuesta del Mobiglass a veces es un poco lenta. ¿Por qué es esto? Y la pregunta que quizás no sean ellos las personas para resolver esta cuestión, ¿no?
The usability of that, I mean, the time it takes to get up, the animation and the whole boot up sequence can be vastly reduced. It's just we're not focused on Mobiglass at the moment.
Yeah.
Dice que lo que es el gesto del brazo que se hace con el Mobiglass, que puede ser reducido, pero que simplemente ahora mismo no están centrados en el Mobiglass.
Actually, the whole UI, we're looking to overhaul on that as well. But I mean, it's really we just got to set a target time, like 0.6 seconds or something like that.
Yeah.
And have as long as we have that, then we can fit the animation around that, whatever needs to happen.
Yeah, and one thing with it, I guess, it's the Mobiglass is this holographic display that projects out of the device itself. So there's no reason why we couldn't have that start to appear as the arm comes up, for example, rather than waiting for it to do
right
that.
Now right now it's very sequential.
Yeah.
There's no reason, especially with the new tech, we can actually start it up now without having to wait for the animation to complete.
Yeah.
You just said that Mobileglass is.
Bien, ahí se dijo el Simon dijo que no, que tal como está el Mobileglass, que realmente es una proyección y que no habría, o sea, se podría sacar del hombro y tal. Entonces ahí el tipo, el compañero se volvió loco y dijo, quieto. No lo dijo, pero yo creo que lo pensó. Y en plan diciendo que bueno, que es el tema de la animación y todo eso, que cuando lo tengan, que cuando lo vayan teniendo bien, que ya mirarán soluciones, ¿no?
I'm going to focus right now, and that's what my second question was. Is there anything you can tell us about the future of Mobileglass?
¿Algo que nos puede
After
decir
having
acerca
said
del
that,
futuro del Mobileglass?
I suppose it's
That's
a
you.
similar kind of thing to the. I suppose what we're doing with the ship MFDs, we'll once we've got the ship stuff and the visor stuff sorted out, then we probably start to look at that. So we'll look at everything that's in there now, and also talk to the game designers and find out what's the overall intention for the game design as well, and try and kind of rework it to match those, and also incorporating the new tech. So it's definitely due an overhaul, I think, and we can make it a lot better. So I'm quite looking forward to that.
Yeah, it's because
Dice que lo que, bueno, que cuando acabe de hacerlo, hablando un poco de, es parecido a lo que están hablando de las MFDs y todo eso, ¿no? De ordenar y tal, que van a hablar con los desarrolladores y ver qué es lo que quieren sacar en claro, ¿no? Del Mobileglass y qué es lo que quieren que aparezca y pues tratar de trabajar en eso y que bueno, pues que está deseando como que ya llegara esa parte también, ¿no? Como...
because it's also like holographic in nature, it sort of depends on the UI tech being able to do 3D as well. So before we even implement that, we need to have the foundational tech to actually do the 3D effects that we want in the Mobileglass to be there.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, all the 2D stuff that goes on like a flat plane, that's all quite far along. There's still some engineering work to make it so you can kind of slice things up and make in-world panels out of that and be able to position that anywhere in the world.
All right, last.
Bueno, está hablando también del tema del implementar el 3D en el Mobileglass, que ahora mismo son todo 2D, y que cuando esté la tecnología implementada, pues que como que podrán hacer cosas en el Mobileglass, ¿no? Cuando esté la tecnología, pues podrán meter esa tecnología en el Mobileglass y tal. Cosas como los mapas en 3D y paranoias así, ¿no? Cositas interesantes que pueden salir de ahí, pero bueno, que está sin hacer todavía.
Question, gentlemen, before we let you go. This came in from the live chat. It's legitimate. I didn't ask. Is the UI team hiring, and what skills are needed most?
Está el equipo de interfaz contratando y y qué habilidades se necesita más, ¿no? ¿Qué se necesita?
That's
Let's
you.
see. Well,
Zane's like, hey, I'm out of that stuff now. That's you, Simon.
yes, I think at the moment probably the job specs are slightly out of date on the website, which we'll update soon. We're definitely looking for at least a programmer on the UI team at the moment. We've got so much stuff that people want to put in. It's kind of sad when you have to say no to everything. So getting someone else on board to help do that is good. At the moment, we're not really looking for artists and graphic designers, although that may change in future. And I guess if people are interested in applying, what's the essential things we're looking for? I suppose for programmers, it's a case of being able to show your experience and also having a knowledge of what makes good UI really. Like why do things work that you see in other games, all that kind of thing. For artists, we tend to look at, I suppose.
Vale, básicamente buscan buscan un programador ahora mismo y buscan un programador que sepa del tema que tenga algo de idea de cómo funcionan las interfaces en otros juegos y demás, ¿no? Y pues eso, que tenga algo de conocimiento, que no está muy seguro de lo que pide exactamente, pero que tiene que tener algo de idea el tipo, ¿no?
There's quite a lot of graphic design stuff because a lot of our job involves coming up with cool logos and buttons and that kind of thing. So if you've got a sense for art, that really helps. But also this kind of, it's quite hard to teach it, but this understanding of if you take a particular screen, why is this screen good on this particular app, or what could I do to improve it? Sort of thinking about that kind of thing is a really helpful skill.
One thing as part of also the UI tech team that we have.
Bueno, pues gente en el apartado artístico que buscan a gente que sepa diseñar botoncitos y demás historias y tal, pero que también es un poco difícil el tratar de enseñarlo, pues lo que quieren hacer ellos, ¿no? Y que, bueno, pues
it'd be helpful to actually have a tools programmer as well. So right now what we're working
Un programador de herramientas.
on is kind of the low-level stuff where I've mentioned a lot of times in this that everything is now data-driven, but that's actually raw data. So when we're actually implementing this stuff, we're kind of poking into raw data. So one thing that we want to do that I kind of tempted to make a head start on this quarter, but is the editor for it's kind of there's the low level stuff, and then there's the layer that the designers and artists will interface with.
Right.
So creating a UI editor that's intuitive and is easy to use is something that we're hiring for as well. So like
Que también están contratando para poder crear un editor de interfaz, porque ahora mismo como que lo meten todo ahí a pelo en pecho. Entonces que necesitan como una capa intermedia, ¿no? Entre lo que es el artista y lo que es la base de todos los datos y demás, ¿no? Que les interesaría pues poder tener un editor y alguien que colabore para hacerlo, que lo haga, ¿no?
A tools programmer that can help build an editor would be very handy.
Yeah,
Yep.
you make a good point. We don't just develop things for our backers. We actually there are several members throughout the company whose purpose is to develop tools for us to use to
Yep.
develop stuff for the backers and stuff like that. So yeah, any developing those tools
Dice que no solo desarrollan cosas para los backers, sino que tienen gente que desarrolla cosas para ellos mismos.
is an essential part of any game.
Herramientas
design.
más que cosas.
I don't think we cover it nearly enough on ISC or anything like that. So you just gave me an idea for another segment. So thank you, Zane.
Awesome.
All right, that's it. That's all we got time for this week. Zane, Simon, thank you so much for taking the time to be here.
Thank you.
I think we've obviously had Zane on ATV and stuff before, but I think this is both of your first live Friday show. How was it?
First for me.
Está preguntando que qué tal el show que ha sido el primero para ellos
It was
el
surprisingly
viernes.
easy.
Yeah.
So yeah, good
It
job.
was all right.
Thank you. You're not going to write a letter to Chris and be like, I hated this.
Not today.
All right. Thanks, guys. That's it for the show. We'll see you next week. Take care.
Bye.
See ya.
Dice que nos ve para la semana. Se ha acabado, chavales. Bueno, pues espero que os haya servido de ayuda. En cuanto un segundito que tengo que hacer aquí. En cuanto a aquí, sí. En cuanto al live, es posible que salga el live hoy. Pues si sale, puede que salga, porque ya han salido varios parches. Pero os advierto de que el hover mode es un desastre. O sea, es una puta mierda, básicamente. Pero bueno, se pueden hacer cosillas en el universo, practicar con la ley y todo eso. Y tal como está ahora, yo creo que se pueden hacer eventos. Entonces, si sale al live hoy, yo espero que podamos hacer un evento la semana que viene y a ver qué tal. Y eso es todo, chicos. Simplemente agradeceros el apoyo que siempre me dais, que sois cojonudos y que estaremos estos días ahí al pie del cañón. Y si sale el live, pues estaremos ahí a saco, ¿no? Y nada más. Hasta luego.